What's up, guys, and holy crap, welcome to episode 40 of useless League of Legends information. I've officially now made about 7 hours worth of useless info on League. That is actually insane, and you guys have watched it, so that's on you. But no, yeah, seriously, thank you guys so much for your support, and for 200,000 subscribers, that is just seriously crazy. But anyways, without further ado, let's just jump into it. Did you know that when you play Neferi on ARAM and buy the hats using the Kappa Juice, her dogs actually get hats as well? Not gonna lie, this is kind of OP. Not only that, but they also get their own random ones too. Also, speaking of Kappa Juice and hats, did you also know that when you buy 6 of them, you also get a global message that pops up saying that your champion has shown their true form? A coat rack. This part works for any champion as well, by the way. During the alpha stages of League, there used to be an item called Bag of Tea, poking fun at the idea of teabagging in games. The icon itself even resembled... Now, the actual item effect restored 400 health and 200 mana over 10 seconds and could only be used after killing a champion. There was also another notable item back then in the alpha stages called the Blue Pill, which, as you might have imagined, is a reference to the Matrix. This item allowed champions to blink back to their team's fountain, and in case you haven't guessed it by now, that eventually ended up turning into the recall function that we know today. Did you know that in addition to doing the fist bump emote by hitting the U button by default on your keyboard, they also added in a sorry emote too by pressing I? Speaking of, I feel like this won't be used very much, to be honest, but it's honestly kind of helpful because if people do use it, it'll probably make people tilt a bit less. You can also change the bindings to these under hotkeys in your settings. Also, as a side note, there's also a ping in there you can add in too to request a vision somewhere. Ever since Neeko could start turning into literally everything, she's had a lot of interesting interactions pop up. One of which Appa from Team Liquid was using during Worlds in their series versus Gam, which was essentially queuing and then changing into a minion right after.
You see that queue and change into minion? The reason he does that is because Akali has Doran Shield Second Wind. And Doran Shield Second Wind means that if you get hit by a spell, you proc regen. But the spell only counts if he's Neeko. If he throws it and turns into a minion, it doesn't count as a spell from a champ. So he doesn't get the regen. So if Appa uses that interaction really well, Akali doesn't really get much regen at all.
This person set it up so you can actually play Brand with a lighter. Now, play might be a bit of an overstatement because it doesn't look like he can actually move, but it does look like he can aim by moving the lighter around, which is actually kind of cool. Also, the lighter itself looks like it's hooked up to his W, so whenever he turns on the lighter, his W goes off. Regardless, this is definitely dedication and pretty creative, so props to this guy. Okay, so a while ago, I posted my latest Chosen by You episode, and at the end, I asked you all to vote for the newest episode I'm working on, which is trying to figure out the champion with the most solo queue potential. But I realized it didn't make sense to do it that way, and instead I wanted to do it by role instead. So if you're up for it, I need your help in voting again, but this time voting for the champion with the most solo carry potential for each role. And also, I thought it'd be fun to find the champion with the least carry potential in the game. So if you got time, I posted a Google link form below to fill out. Thanks. Did you know that whenever you transform as Kayn, you actually come out with full HP and mana? So it can actually be a big time saver to leave the fountain and just click it as soon as it's up.
I believe you can leave the base, right? And then you regen to full when you form it? Do you? Oh my god, see, I'm hella knowledgeable about Kayn.
Okay, so a few days ago, Polypuff made a full in-depth video explaining how long it would take to buy every single champion in League without paying any real money, and the answer was 6 years, 1 month, and 11 days.
It's actually not that bad, considering how we didn't even factor in things like exec chests, honor rewards, battle pass rewards, etc. in the calculations. If the player is more honorable, more skilled, or in general more dedicated to playing the game, they'll be able to unlock every champion much faster.
This was taking into account how much blue essence it would cost total, which was 530,335, the average amount someone plays, as well as the average amount someone wins. So yeah, pretty insane. And honestly, I have to say, I think it's pretty accurate too, because now that I think about it, that's almost exactly as long as it took me to get every single champion in the game as well. You could also pay 118,620 RP to buy every single champion too, which comes out to be about $912 USD. Which honestly isn't as bad as I thought, at least considering there's now $500 skins that exist. Anyways, he went into a lot more detail with this, so feel free to check out his video too if you want. Alright, so this is pretty insane. A few weeks ago, there was a League of Legends streamer named No Arm Whatley who fell out of a 3rd story window and went into a coma.
I was closing my window at home on the 3rd story. The window is broken in such a way that you had to kind of like lean out of the window to close it, and I tried to lean out of the window to close it. I fell because the window was broken.
He ended up getting a subdural hematoma, 2 brain contusions. He was bleeding out of both eyes. He got a fractured spine, fractured pelvis, and a broken foot, among other things. Overall, they said he only had about a 15% chance of surviving, but still managed to pull through. There was also some crazy foreshadowing going on about a year earlier when he posted this photo. Anyways, like the true League of Legends player that he is, one of the first things that he decided to do when he was better was, of course, to make an injury tier list.
S tier, we have acute subdural hematoma. B tier, fractured pelvis.
Even his other comments after are crazy too, saying things like, it would have been sad if I died, but being a legitimately brain damaged top laner is a little funny. I mean, you gotta respect the dark humor though. He's also just starting to get back into League 2, but it's been a rough start since he's quite literally handicapped now, but his response to all that is just to play Yuumi, saying, I'll prove even with brain damage, unranked to challenger is still possible on this abomination. Honestly, props to this guy and good luck out there on the grind. Okay, so do you know that if you hit tab and then hold down the chat button next to each of the champions, you can actually mute the pings, the emotes, and chats all at once? For the longest time, I would click every single one individually and it'd be kind of annoying, so this is actually a game changer. Okay, so this is pretty cool. Def's mom posted this video of a 2400 music box that Riot sent him that plays gods. Honestly, pretty sick gift from Riot. Apparently, these are the champions with the highest win rates for games that go 40 minutes or longer. Most of these honestly make sense, but some of them were also kind of surprising too. Like, I didn't expect Eve to be this high up. So I also checked with a different source, and these were the results there. There's clearly a few changes, but I'd say that Kayn, Aurelion Sol, Neela, Teemo, and Kassadin are all top choices no matter what. Did you know that Ambessa was originally going to have her mask on like she does in the Wild Rift version, but the PC team decided that they wanted to be able to see her age. Also, speaking of Ambessa, as of recording this on November 11th, there's a player on the EU server who already has over 140,000 mastery points on Ambessa. Keep in mind, as of now, Ambessa was literally just released 5 days ago, and they already have played 106 games on Ambessa. I mean, I literally counted every single one. That is an average of a bit over 21 games of Ambessa every single day. And this gets even more impressive when you realize that Ambessa has one of the highest ban rates for a new champion that we've seen in a while at 64.9%. So honestly, it's kind of impressive that he was able to get that many games in. So congratulations, I think. Baby Penguin, subscribe. Thank you. I think a lot of people by now know that in the old lore, Blitzcrank used to run a dating service. And if you didn't know, I guess you do now. Anyways, I've talked about this a long time ago, but there's some finer details that I've missed out on before that I wanted to talk about. To start, this service was called Blitzcrank's Fleshing's Compatibility Services. And how Blitz set things up was he purchased commercial sites in all the major cities to build a chain of magically outfitted cafes called Pairing Eligibility Reactors of Valorant, also known as PERVs for short. Yeah. Every major city, as well as the minor outposts across Valorant, had pervs. Even Bilgewater had a perv in the middle of the market district. And all of these pervs were for the sake of transferring data between them for Blitz's dating service. And in order to complete the dating service, users must register on Blitzernet and then complete a 748 entry questionnaire. After that, they'll then receive their match's contact info if both sides agree. Now you may be wondering, was Blitz's service free? And the answer is yes, to an extent. His free version was called Minion Level Services, where you could see the results for free. But you could also upgrade to 2 other versions for a fee. The first being the Super Minion membership, which granted them access to communicate in real time over the Blitzernet. And for an even larger fee, you could get the Champion membership, which granted you access to the teleportation portals to, and I quote, engage in instantaneous mating with their mutually consensual selected partners. Hog. Anyways, Blitzcrank also claimed that during their closed beta, they also had a 99.8 survival rate amongst all their participants, with only 1 fatality that resulted from incompatible pairings. Pretty good. He also listed some examples of those matchings like Ashe and Tryndamere, Katarina and Garen, and Janna with the summoner Bob Nashahago, which I believe was the writer of the Journal of Justice. It also says here that Bob was dating Nidalee before that too, so yeah. Anyways, then it says to go visit your local perv and sign up for Blitzcrank's Fleshing's Compatibility Services. Very interesting indeed. Additionally, in the artwork, they also matched Rammus with a cactus. Plus, as the cherry on top, Riot actually made a real questionnaire for this on their site back in the day where you could actually find your match, and you can still actually even use it with the Wayback Machine, so I'll leave a link in the description if you want. But anyways, moving on. If you're wondering why whenever you center your screen, it's still slightly off-centered, it's probably because your screen isn't set to the fixed offset setting. By default, I believe it is is set to the per side offset, which means it's usually tailoring towards one side depending on which side you're on, but the fixed offset option will center it completely. This might be the luckiest, most coincidental chest unboxing to ever happen in League.
We make the... Whoa, what's this? What are the fucking chances, man? I can see the future! It's time to gamble! I'm gonna get rich, baby!
Apparently when Kadril was a pro player and was just starting out, he had it written in his contract that if he streamed for 20 hours a month, he'd get an extra 500 euros. So in order to fulfill those requirements, he just decided to put a will video on for 10 plus hours until they found out.
When I started streaming in 2019, I had like 10 viewers for 2 years or 1 year. I'll never forget, in my contract as a pro player, it said if I stream 20 hours a month, I'll get an extra 500 euros a month. So I just turned my stream on and put a whale video on when I went to sleep, with 3 viewers, and it worked for like 5 months until they found out what I was doing.
And lastly, have you ever wondered how Brand can wear shorts without lighting them on fire? I mean, come on, talk about a small indie company. All right, thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to sub and send any info you got to outsidejokelol@gmail.com, and I will see you next time. Also, a huge shout out to my freaking incredible supporters and patrons, and a massive freaking shout out to Gooseman for being a 2-tier patron, as well as a ginormous shout out to Wolf for being a tier 3 patron. Like, I seriously never have enough words for you guys. You guys have been some of my longest and most dedicated supporters. So, like, seriously, thank you guys so much. All right, anyways, bye.